Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave. Well, it's a lovely Friday morning in San Francisco. It also happens to be July 15th, which is my actual birthday. So happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you if this is your birthday. Happy birthday to you in general. I have carved today out of the world. That's what I think of it when I get a day like today. No meetings, no phone calls, no Zooms. I have dinner with some good friends tonight. Quiet dinner, and that's it. Just really nice and simple. But it's 9 in the morning. I'm hoping to spend the next 8 hours. Yeah, I'm actually hoping to do this one day build today. I want to make a lightsaber. I'm going to make my own lightsaber. It's time for this Jedi to make his own lightsaber, right? Right? I don't know why I say right. I mean, it's not like it's a preordained, but frankly, you know, the whole ethos of a Jedi should make their own lightsaber. Yeah, I want to make my own lightsaber. And the lovely folks at Saberforge have sent over this magnificent little unit. Totally amazing. I'm going to learn how to use this. There's a lot going on in this simple single button thing with some lights on the front and some spring pins and a commutator ring into the blade. Looks like it's going to be incredibly bright. I am actually going to, I think, try some single point threading in this. Oh man, that coffee is really good. I've got some aluminum. I got to tell you, when I made my first lightsabers in the early 90s, it took me, I remember specifically going down to Bayshore Metals and looking at their scrap department and finding a piece of exactly this, which is 2-inch 6061 aluminum round. Finding a piece of this was about 16 inches long. They charged me $30 for it. It cleaned me out. And I was like, I've got this $30 precious thing. And I made my first lightsaber at one of Jamie's tool room lathes. Actually, the Shenhua he has, which is the same model I have over there. The Shenhua Chieftain 1540. 1540? Yeah, 1540. That's the lathe. I was in the middle of replacing the cross slide on my lathe, but that's a totally different thing. I'm going to put it back together. I am going to, like I said, I think I'm going to do some single point threading. So that's where we're going to start, because I'm going to start on structure, and then I'm going to move towards the aesthetics. I'm spooked by this. I feel like part of me wants to prepare myself for, like, it's not going to be the lightsaber of your dreams. It's going to be the first prototype of the lightsaber of your dreams. But another part of me really wants the magic to happen, and that it is the lightsaber of my dreams. But you know, with a construction like this, where it's an object of this kind of importance to me, I want it to have a certain kind of thing to it. It's yeah, I just gotta, you know, we'll see what happens today. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, I've even got a little bit of a drawing here. I should make some notes for myself. I have a lot of lightsabers. I have a closet back there. I have a Billy bookcase filled with at least 24 lightsabers. I went through this whole period where if I was on eBay or on the Replica Prop forum or one of the other forums I frequent, and I came across a lightsaber that was like a really good deal, like $75 or something, I would just grab it. And actually, a couple of the lightsabers in my cabinet were built by Ryan Nagata in the early days of his prop replication. Many of them done with hand files. Yeah, that guy, his precision is amazing. Anyway, I've been staring at those lightsabers for weeks, kind of looking for inspiration, and then I sat down here at the bench with the unit, and I sort of like drew something around it, and I feel like I've got something I kind of like. Single point thread, that's the first part. That's where we start. I'm nervous. I'm going with 20 threads per inch. And I've got a good, yeah, I'm happy with it. So it's time to do the other side of the equation. But first I want to cut this so I can undo that, move that. There it is. Yeah, take a look. Those are nice threads. I'll clean all this up later. I just want to make sure that I get the other part to fit into that. Hopefully that was the hard part. All right, let's see if I can do that. That was good. So we come out, we go back. We come in by 10 thou, and then we come in. Okay, let's get a little. $20,000. That is a crunchy ass thread. I don't love it. I may have to fix that. So 20,000 coming out, back. Okay, so we got 20,000. So let's see where we're at so far. Oh, no, we're not even close. Nope. I know I should use the threads, but I'm just not going to. Oh, yeah, we're getting close. Oh, we're getting close. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. No! Oh. Deuteronomy. So let's undo that. Get rid of that. God, I'm sweaty. I'm kind of excited. I successfully have machined a positive and an external and internal thread for what will be the pommel of my lightsaber. I have now brought the handle to the dimension that I want. Yeah, I cut my thumb, it's fine. Now I'm going to knurl the ever-living crap out of it. I want a big, fat diamond pattern for this. We're gonna get it. You're gonna wanna see this up close. And Z, yeah, we're at Z. Yeah, that's already as slow as we go. Now, I like the clamp knurler better than any other kind of knurler. That's what this is here. It clamps from both sides. Normally, knurling involves... it normally involves just like pressing a hardened wheel right into the work, which puts a lot of stress on that, and I don't like to do that, so I'm not going to. This, I mean, I can rebuild this at some point. It will be better someday. Oh, this is going to take a while. While I'm cutting the knurl, and it seems to be like exactly the big fat diamond knurl I was hoping for, I'm proceeding on this piece just one step at a time. I'm not trying to when I'm doing something aesthetic like this, I have a plan, but I also, even at any given point in that plan, I don't know how much of that plan I am implementing, so I always implement the next most obvious thing. The mechanical arrangement of the internal and external thread was going to be the thing that, like, that was going to be the tough part, so I wanted that up front. Then once I get it going with those two connected, then it's time to choose the grip and how the grip feels. Once I have that, I'm going to start working on this piece. I'm going to hollow it out. It's going to be part of the speaker resonator chamber. I want it to sound neat. It's going to have a kind of sound. I'm going to give it a kind of an internal volume. And then once I have done that, and I think there's going to be some indexing head cutting on that tail piece, the pommel, really the next part is holding on to the blade, which actually I have a plan for, to hold on to it with a very positive grab that won't mark it. I don't think it's too much to say that this is maybe the best knurl I have ever achieved. That is what I call a nice fat diamond pattern. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with its consistency and with its feel. I'm gonna hit it with a little sandpaper to soften it up, but yeah. So what I want is a little bit of a lip that captures here. Yep. And if that is 2.3, I think I could make it 2.2 as the depth. Yep, and I get exactly the lip I want. 2.2, 2.2, 2.2. Okay, so. Here we are. That's a little lip that I wanted at the bottom of that thing. Okay, let's check this out. Let's see. Come on. Nope. Can't cross-thread that shit. All right, let's soften that inside edge a little bit. So I know it's not quite looking like a lot right now, but it will. Ooh, hot. I can't get it off. I'm gonna have to, that's gonna be funny. All right. This is me cutting some fins in here, and that's gonna be interesting. So this is me at the point in the build when I'm sure it's all going to shit. I don't know that I love the kind of shape here. It's not quite what I was hoping for. I may still play around with some of these angles. Yeah. Oh, also, I've got a new interesting problem, which is I've screwed these together. Now I can't get them apart. There it is. Not bad. So I've got this little resonator chamber. I've got the back of my saber. I'm happy with that. I don't know what to do with this thing, but I am going to start. I'm just doing this by eye. This is back to all of my early poor habits, aesthetic machining. Look good about that. All right, so with that being done, ooh, that's hot, 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 hot. All right, I cut one more fin down there. I may make that angle more extreme, but right now I want to cut out 16 slots out of here. 16 little slots, yeah. 16 little slots. You know what? You know what? I screwed up. I cut too thin. I was worried that I was cut too thin. I cut too thin. I got impatient. All right, so let's see what I can salvage out of all of this madness. There's no rescue of that part. But let's see how I feel when I put the saber together. Why don't I like that shape? It's not an interesting shape. Damn it. I'm going to remake that whole tail piece. I'm going to remake it out of this. Well, yeah. It's gonna suck up another 90 minutes, but yeah, I can work this weekend. So the screw up basically happened because I was impatient, and the screw up happened because I was impatient and I didn't want to drag out that like 50-pound piece of 2.5-inch thick aluminum. I was like, maybe I can make it work with a 2-inch. And the answer is no. My drawing, I liked the proportions of my drawing. I should have stuck to it from the beginning. And I thought I was making it a little easier. I wasn't. But I got to try some things out and see how well they worked. And I now have a little better of an aesthetic idea and mechanical of how I want this piece to be. Hopefully this will just be a minor setback. Oh, shite! I didn't know. Ay, ay, ay. Ah, crap. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. I didn't know it was engaged. And I f***ed up my single point internal threader. I don't know if I have one. Shit. Got something. Fracking. Great. All right. This is rescuable. Barely. That's where I was. Let's see how this fits. I must say, I'm very, very close, and it is quite satisfying to find my own machining skills somewhat reliable. All right, let's go back down. So nerve-wracking. There are other videos about single point threading and how it works. You're better off watching those than trying to glean how to do this from me. But, all right. One thing I found rewarding was there's this whole method of single point threading where you use this counter over here so you can uncouple your cross slide from the main screw. And I don't like to uncouple it. It's possible to do it, but I don't like doing it. And I noticed that Stefan Gottsvinter, he specifically doesn't like disengaging. I feel vindicated. Okay. Is it testable? It's testable. That is the kind of fit and finish I want. I'm very happy. Okay, now I want to not f it up. Note to self, order some single point internal threading tools. Okay, you are in, like Flynn. Now I'm bringing my drawing in. I like its proportions, and I've seen what proportions are like when they're not amazing, and I'm unhappy with those. So, what did we lose? We only lost an hour for that screw up. Well, sorry. We lost however long it takes. We lost what we lost. It's fine. We're going to pull a 1/4 inch off of this. The other thing is the overall length of this puppy, which I think is like... It feels like I'm working really hard to make a flashlight. But then, lightsabers are essentially that, right? Continuing till tomorrow. It's not there yet. I'm not displeased, having had to make that part twice. So this is my drawing, and I dig my drawing. I like the layout of this. And right now, this is overly long. That's fine. I can machine that down and put the capper on there and all that, and make that with a set screw. But somehow, I still think I need some refinement in this shape. We're close. We're close. Got a little Shatner there. All right. I'll see you in a minute. Good morning. It's not Saturday, it's Sunday. But I have much more of a point of view on the lightsaber. The pommel has now reached a fair bit of refinement. I'm starting to think of it as the pineapple. It's got a really nice open, I've really managed to make it quite open in there, while at the same time, it's got a stop for the speaker of this little unit here. Wow, wow, wow. Which has a tremendous amount of movement capability to it. It's really lovely. I'm super happy with this Saberforge thing. The issue that I have now is that I have to work out a really solid way to hold on to this blade. You see the blade has a commutator on it. and there's pins out of the tip of the machine, and they have to meet, which means I have to lock the blade in. But this blade is made of plastic. They said use 3 set screws, which I'm sure is fine, but I don't want to do that. So I am actually going to build a pressure system for this out of individual leaves at the end of my lightsaber handle. And I have set up my mill here to achieve such a thing. Here is the handle. Here is the blade. This is just for visual purposes, because what I have to do is I have to drive a little pin in here to secure the blade handle to this Delrin hunk that I've got here, and that will allow me to hold on to this while spinning and allow me to cut into it without hurting the blade because it's a plastic buck. And what I'll end up with is, I think, a set of 12 leaves that are going to be this long. And the emitter will actually fit over this and clamp into any given 6 of them with set screws, and that will provide a very gentle, I'm building a collet. I'm building a collet for my lightsaber blade. Yeah, that's how I'm doing it. Got too hot. My aluminum got too hot, and it melted the Delrin inside the aluminum. That's going to be unpleasant. It's not unrecoverable. It's not unrecoverable, but it's going to take a minute. That was it. It's hammer time. Rescued from my impatience. Okay, so now we have part the first. Oh, it's got a ring there. So now it's time for the emitter. Oh, there you go. Huh. Why would you stop there? All right, we'll go a little deeper. That smell of hot aluminum and machine oil. It's like a really good smell. All right, emitter. You gotta be careful about this stuff. It looks like tinfoil, and it will give you the worst paper cuts of your life. Also, it's hot. I'm at this interesting stage aesthetically where I can't quite tell what to do with the emitter. So I'm going to cut it off and try it. I may have to remake the emitter, but the only way I know what shape the emitter has to be is by trying out the one that I've just finished and seeing how I like it. It's going to be a few steps. Everything that I do to achieve this step, I am saving time if I have to do it again. It's not like I have to do everything from scratch. I'm going to make a little 1.2 inch buck for holding on to this so I can chuck it into my indexing head. We're close. We're close to me being able to put this blade in here and try it out. And then I'm going to swing it around at home for a day and see how I feel about it and come back in here and maybe put a little more effort in. This will benefit a lot from some black paint. I also think I still want to chamfer more of these cooling fins here on the pineapple. It really is like one of those, it's like a futuristic grenade from Demolition Man or something. All right. A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night. You are so suave. That's not a bad emitter. That's doing pretty good. We can even do a test fit now. Oh, whoops. I forgot. I won't do this with it. I am very happy so far. So far, we are not done. It's great. That's beautiful. All right, so yeah, still some refinement, but for right now, I'm very happy. All right, that was harder to take apart than I intended. I have some work to do. I have a bunch of work to do. I need to open up the inside of my emitter. I'm going to do some aestheticizing in it. I've got to clean out, ream out the inside of this. Lots and lots of little things to get back to where it's easy to assemble, easy to disassemble. Then I have to worry about wiring the switch. And then this is going to be like a 5-day build. Some progress has been made. I got a haircut. Some progress has been made. Not a ton. The pineapple continues to get refined. I have a thing I think I want to try and do here. This collet system. It might seem that was on purpose. It was not on purpose. And I had this old Graflex 2-cell body. So I pulled out its button and I made a hole here. And I think I'm going to attach an OG lightsaber button right there. I got to figure out how to get it in. Non-trivial. But I will. So what is the next thing? The next thing is I'm going to do, I think I want my emitter to be a little bit bigger. I want to do some detailing in here and some detailing here and think about this button. I don't know how the hell to attach this just yet. The way it's currently going to work is that this guy goes down in here and this button lines up here. And then presumably I'd put this in with a little screw or something and a little spacer in between, and it would allow me to do all the button commands on the Saberforge body. On the body. That is my plan. My dog Maggie has a cough this morning, and so she's with me. So I did not go to Ritual Coffee. I went to Linnea around the corner from me. Also a wonderful coffee shop. Also delicious, delicious coffee. Okay. I'm only grabbing onto this with a very gentle touch so I don't mark it too much. And that means I have to go very gently in my cuts. I went a little vigorously and you saw it jump. That's bad. Oh, good. It doesn't look like I marked up my divots here too much. Put a little bit of tape there to protect them. And that's a nice little, I gotta say, I'm pleased with that scallop detail. I'm gonna clean that up, but very gently. But it's a nice little, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get some black in here and in here. There it is. I've made a holder to grip this. So I'm going to put a step on this. I want to step on it. Actually, yeah, I'm going to drill some holes around the perimeter, like the end of the Obi-Wan emitter. And then I'm going to put a step on this because I'm going to put a little extra lip on this puppy. Yeah, I'm going to press fit another piece right onto there. Yeah. I got to tell you, one of the things that goes on a lathe when it's on a mill. One of the things that goes on a mill when it's old is, well, so you can imagine that the link between the table here that moves this way and the upright of the machine, that link is this big old set of dovetails that grab each other and hold on really tight, but not too tight that you can't move it. That's the whole trick with a mill, is that it's got to be tight enough so that it doesn't move, but loose enough that it moves. And this is a very, very precise relationship using a long tapered bar called a gib arm. And you can adjust the finesse of that fitment very finely. However, in a lot of mills, you see how the table is clocked all the way to the right there. In a lot of older mills, you can't do this because most of the action happens in the middle. And as that table goes past, it wears down very slowly, very like the stairs at Grand Central, which are like worn after 140 years with just like billions of footsteps. You wear it very slowly, but the middle of the ways on an old mill become a little sloppy. And then as you try and take out that slop, you make it tighter at the ends. And all this is the longest way of saying my brand new sharp mill, brand new. It's like 2 years old, which is effectively like to a mill, that's like you just been bottle fed. It's really nice to have a mill that works all the way out to the ends of the ways. That's all. I told that whole story just so I could say that. Okay, so show you a better view. Oh, who's the pretty boy? Who's the pretty boy? All right, so this is going to be the plate that's the outer side of the emitter, and I'm making that first so that I can tune the emitter body to receive this because I want it to be a press fit. So I'm going to make a hole here that is 1.75 inches. That's what I'm talking about. This is why I love annular cutters, man. You dial that in, you get your deal. Go. I'm going to take off 200 thou. So the inside of this is precisely 1.75 inches in internal dimension. So I'm going to chuck this into the lathe and cut a step here that is 1.7501.5 inches in diameter. I'm going to make this a 1,000th press fit so that that sits on top of that. I've made my step here, and it is literally 2,000ths over the internal diameter of this. I'm going to heat up this ring and get it on there. And once it cools down, it should be, the two should never be parted or torn asunder. Ooh, nice. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm happy. I've got the shortest little lightsaber in all of Christendom. Yeah. The emitter is at a place I'm pretty happy. The pommel is at a place I'm pretty happy. What is left? Ah, the handle. Oh, this button issue. Crap, I'm gonna have to think about this button. I'm really close. This is the handle, and I'm really happy with how it's working. So let's do a test fit. Again, these are 832 set screws pressured against a kind of a internal collet I've placed at the emitter that should hold on to this plastic blade with a lot of force, a lot of gription. I've got a lot of surface area. Instead of just little set screws, right? And my set screw is pressing into that leaf right there. And so that leaf is grabbing this thing on a much more positive basis.
You don't know what you're facing. You won't go any farther.
All right. I feel like, weirdly, I don't mind this so far. Yeah, as I'm looking at it in reflection, I kind of like it. The sound is great, and the light is beautiful. I really like my emitter. I love how close this whole thing is to the drawing. I mean, I know I've made it longer, and look, I started out making it long because I wanted to be able to make it shorter. You can't make it longer, but you can make it shorter. So I'm trying that out. I like the way this looks down here. I think that's a neat kind of like, whoa. I also like that I can get both hands on this. It's got a center of gravity, center of balance right about there. This button. All right, so look, I'm taking a luxury approach to this. I had this old 2-cell Graflex. Since this is threaded and I like its threading, I'm going to use that hole and this tab bent down to actually attach this threaded switch right into the handle of my saber. And that should be the finish of this thing. I'm going to take this apart and save all the little bits and pieces because they're useful. Yeah, I know, I'm beating everything up. All right. Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm very happy. Right. I need. A little Teflon plug. That little nubbin's for pushing the switch, and this will. Now let's see. Yeah, see, that sits right in there. Always that happens. All right. Oh, dude. Notice. Yeah, my little dial here, my little thing. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know what that's from. But I had it upstairs and I drilled a hole a little small for its threads and I pressed it in. And it's a great addition. I've got the original Graflex. I've got the original Graflex red button there. I'm really digging how this all looks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Savage Lightsaber. Yeah, it's real. It's done. I, for one, being Savage, could not be more pleased. Oh, what? I thought I was coming in today to clean up the unholy mess I left. I brought the saber home. I looked at it. I'm really happy with it. I could not be more happy with it. Of course, I see a couple of things I want to do. I'm going to add a couple little brass rods over here. I think that the handle has exceeded all of my expectations for simplicity. It feels like a piece of royal hardware. And I think I might want to do an acid etch of a Jedi glyph right here. I think that's what this requires. I think that'll make it feel like a piece of real jewelry. Yeah, so brass rods, the brass rods, and then I'll figure out how I want to cut a Jedi. So I carved a little glyph. The glyph I carved was from a Jedi temple, and it stands for the rune Death but the Force. And it is actually a runic symbol, I guess, of the letter F within the Jedi alphabet, which stands for the Force. I thought that was the right kind of thing. Now, this is funny because let's just see how this thing feels. I spent a lot of time sort of just, staring at the saber and pondering its awesome. See, I think this is that's great. That's great. I really like the way the symbol looks. Can you see it? Come on, there you go. Isn't that nice? So that was just I carved the rune out of some vinyl heat shrink tape. It acts as a fine resist. The carving of the rune makes it look kind of rough and ready. And there's a thing about acid etching, which is like in ye olde pieces, like when you go to the Victoria and Albert Museum and you see hand-built bits of armor, it looks a lot more like this than it does like a really nice Cricut vinyl cut. It's rough and ready around the edges. So I wanted the same feeling. So I cut the rune, I drew the rune in a marker. I cut it out of the heat shrink tape, which is basically just a vinyl. I mean, electrical tape would work as well. I then made a little bowl around it. And this is why I like this stuff, because I can see through it. And if I was getting any leakage, I'd be able to see it. I've had ferric chloride was the etchant I used. That's the Weta Workshop favorite aluminum etchant. And I just did like 8.5 minutes on that rune, and then I hit it on the polisher. And I feel like it's great. I'm pretty happy with it. We're not going to put the electronics in this time. We're just going to put the button in, and then we're going to ponder it for a while. That's how this works. I like to think of this as a castle stacked on a pineapple. That's kind of how I think of these two parts. This is the castle turret. I'm really happy. So I'm using 4 832 screws to hold in the leaves of my collet saber blade grabber. What's nice is I can just stick a piece of 1-inch Delrin in there, and the whole thing stays together. I've got these 2 brass rods I put in there. I can't remember what these are from. I literally can't remember what these are from. I have like 4 of them. Can't remember. Okay. Yeah, we're not done yet. So I had this idea over the weekend that the bottom of this should have a crystal sticking out of it, something like this. As far as that's just a piece of some colored resin I had around and I threw onto the belt sander. It's terrible. It doesn't work. I am going to make a piece. I'm going to cast a little epoxy jewel out of this stuff. I find it makes a very nice clear casting, and it does it pretty quickly. But first, I'm going to make a mounting point in here. And that requires me to put this back into the lathe and add a couple of screws to hold on to that mounting point. And it's going to be a very, well, I don't want to inhibit the sound too much, so it's going to be a very low profile little mount. I know I probably should light it, but I don't know how I can get a light small enough in there, and I can't necessarily route one back from up front. Not now, at least, anyway. Maybe later Saberforge could give me one with a nice wire coming out the bottom. But until that day, we're going to do a little bit more work on the saber because I can't stop mucking with this thing because I'm very happy with it. So this mounting point in here is going to be an interesting little piece. There's a ledge. There you go. See the ledge there? So what I'm going to do is, the saber has a front and a back. That's the front with a little glyph. A little glyph there. There you go. And then that's the back. And on the back, I'm going to have 2 little button heads or flat heads or some sort of screw. What I've got to do is I've got to make a little chunky chunk of aluminum that fits on that ledge. And like, if the ledge is like this, I need to make a piece of aluminum that fits in there. And then once I get it to fit in there, I will drill 2 holes that are perfectly centered on the back. Then I will put the piece in there, mark it, tap those. Once I can tap into those and hold on to that piece, so it's being held both in the angle and by 2 screws, then I chuck this in the lathe and I drill a center hole in my holder. Yeah, that took me a little while on the plane to think about coming home from Las Vegas. I've cut this little piece of wren shape to a rough approximation of the angle. Now I'm just going to try and get close. That is not bad. It needs to be a little taller. I think that is a reasonable angle. I can come in and I can work with that. I'm getting ahead of myself though. I want to cast up So I've got a little chunk of aluminum that matches my chunk of wren shape, but before I continue on that, I want to cast up my blank for my jewel. We'll use a little bit of PVC pipe, not much. One of the nice things about casting up a blank in PVC pipe is extruded, so it's perfectly parallel. It means that your piece will come out. And that's nice. Nice, that's nice. I've got some good urethane tints here that I like. These are the Mix All brand, and I'm going to be flying by the seat of my pants for the color of this jewel. Violet, ocean blue, blue. So we're going to try a little bit of ocean blue, regular blue, and violet. I like how this stuff remains quite transparent as a color. That's the violet. Oh, that's going to be too much already, I can tell. Ocean blue. Ooh, it's going to be way too much. All right, I think it was overly ambitious. We'll try. We'll mix this up and we'll see what we get. You can't mix too much with this stuff. Got a little extra. I'm gonna just pour it in the silicone mold. Why waste casting material? Maybe this will be useful to me someday. Oh, I still got a little bit more, eh? All right. All right. Awesome. 3 separate things. All right, we'll set those aside. Let them set. Let them think about what they did. Time to get this guy going. Drill holes first. Drill holes first. I've measured opposite the glyph to the other side. I've marked out my 2 holes. Frankly, I don't feel like I have to be crazy exact on these. If I wanted these to be exact, I'd put them into the mill and I'd, line everything up and spin at 180, but frankly, it doesn't need to be that tight. I do think button heads are the proper unit. No 632s in any stainless. I mean, I guess I could polish these. I will do a polish on the back of those. Yeah. I'll do a polish once they're in place. Ooh, I'll even countersink to me. Hang on. Always get one extra screw. In an operation like this, where I am drilling through a surface to tap into another thing, i.e. the outer shell of this to tap into this, I start all the holes with the tap size. Later, I'll open these up to be able to let the bolts slide through, but for alignment, you start with the tap drill only, not the through drill. I use these Makita 12 volts when I want some sensitivity to my drilling. They just give me a little more precision and a little better of a hand feel. Now when I want to transfer, I want to stick this in here and mark where these holes are going to go. Yeah, that's the tricky one. Let's sand that smooth. So rounded it a bit so I have a nice marking surface, and give it a center line, and then neat sound. Oh, it's hard to manipulate around in there, isn't it? Yep. There we go. Getting there. Come on, come on. Jeez. Oh, there we go. All right, if you can see there, maybe you can't see. I can try and help you see my center line. There we go. It lines up with those. And now I've got to mark it. Oh my gosh, this is going to be crazy. All right, let's see if that did something. Yeah, all right. It sounded like one of my taps broke, and the tap looked broken, but there's no broken piece in here, which is confusing. But I've got two tapped holes. They receive these screws just fine. The biggest mechanical load this thing's going to undergo, frankly, is my lathing to the center of it. I could go a little bit deeper. We're going to do a little lathe work before we go back to this. All right, I've hogged a little bit out in there. It wasn't pretty. I didn't film it. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's like building a ship in a bottle. That's something I haven't done. Okay, I got to get to the other side of this thing. What we're going to do is we're going to get the bottom one done, and then we're going to do the top one afterwards. I was way ambitious trying to do both at once. Oh, that's what happened. Huh. Drilling an off-angle hole. Well, it's square to that surface, but not to that one. When it bursts through there, it burst through and snapped the tip off the drill bit. I can only assume that the same thing happened to the tap on the last run. I have repositioned and opened up the shaping here so I have more room to move. So hopefully it won't be as much of an issue here. Nope, you are intact. Okay, so. Nice. Nice. Oh, God, that's great. Feels great. Nice amount of purchase. Oh, could you? Oh, nice. All right. Let's see if I got it right. That seems about right. All right. Happy. Happy, happy, happy. Joy, joy, joy. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to make the whole center using the through bit. Oh, great. That was the thing. Now I have, on the opposite of the front, 2 screws holding in a nice big chunk of aluminum. Now I'm going to drill a center hole in that, and then I'm going to cut away everything I don't need besides that center hole. Everything. I never don't find screwing these together super satisfying. Lathe to the lathe, boy wonder. All right, so now I have the holes for the screws. I've got the center hole for the jewel. Now I'm gonna cut away a whole bunch of this crap so that I can actually make sure the sound is actually bouncing outwards and all of that stuff. All right. I've taken everything away that I don't need, and I did it off camera because I was like bouncing back and forth between 5 machines. Okay, 3 machines. There's what I've ended up with. Oh, it's a pretty little thing, isn't it? Yeah. Designed it backwards, I did. That is a 1024 hole, which is great. Ta-da! I don't believe that time could change your mind. That's the front. Ooh, that's the back. Nice. Nice. My little mount for a gem is there. I'm very pleased. I'm really happy with how that went. I think it actually looks great. I even like the look of the screws on the back. But I won't get to the jewel until tomorrow. However, I did think that I wanted to do some bluing here, some specific bluing. I'm gonna do just this middle section here as if it's heat burnt from the bottom. Yeah, I'm just gonna try that and see how that looks. I want to seal that with a little bit of all-clad 2. The clear acrylic tends to put a little bit of a matte cast on it. So the clear coat tends to make it look more realistic. Oh. Yeah, okay. Right, there's that business. We're gonna take care of that. Yeah, that. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. It's kind of neat. I mean, if I end up not liking it, I can pull it off, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Come on, set! I want it to set. I don't love this blue. It's not the right color blue. I'm gonna pull a lot of it off. We'll see how it goes. Oh, whoops, sorry. Yeah, I mean, for many of my favorite paint jobs were paint jobs in which I was pulling off the old paint job, the thing that didn't work. The good news is my resin has set. So here I said it would be easy to get out. Let's see if I was totally wrong. Are you really not budging? I've always had resin just pop right out of this stuff. Boop. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the end of this and give it a little 1024. I think it's 1024. I'm just going to make sure of that 1024 hole and then make a little 1024 bolt so this can screw into there. That'll be the first part. I'm just installing a screw from the back so that it sticks out. Yeah, there we go. Nice, nice, nice. All right. Not bad. You can see a little bit better of the blue here. Hey, yeah. I know it would be better if it was lit, and I'm not really sure how to get it lit, but, you know, we will see. Yeah, it's quite nice. Yeah. All right, so, yeah, the lightsaber is literally 4 parts. I love that that one rings. So let's put the core back in. The core is exactly 1 inch, so I was able to bore this out. This is maybe my favorite feature, is the old Graflex button on this. It just so ties everything together. I have this feeling about lightsabers in general, is that I find sometimes that they look they look too new to me. So I wanted to build something that was, what do you call it, suitably old looking and sort of luxurious. Set screws into the tines, and it holds it really nice. Oh! This is my first foray into this whole zone. The amount of variability that Saberbait puts into this is astounding to me. And that, I mean, I'm still learning all the single button controls because it's sort of like using one of those old Yamaha DX7 menus from the 1980s. However, I really appreciate the amount of customization that is possible with this. Their loudspeaker works so beautifully with my resonating chamber, and I added the blue stone. It's not like a kyber crystal exactly, but I just knew that I wanted some sort of blue jewel there. Let's get out there and defeat the Empire. You'll edit this to make me look cool, right? I really want to thank
Justin and Shane from Saber Bay for providing the electronics core, and the NeoPixel blade from KR Sabers. They are selling this saber core now at saberbay.com. The speaker is great. It works beautifully with my resonator. It's one-touch operation. Oh, dude. I just can't. 10-year-old me is in here and he cannot believe that this is. Whoa! What is that? That's even cooler. Oh. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.